It seems like every political discussion these days degenerates into a shouting match. But my next guests show that there is a better way, and they do it on their podcast and in their new book called I Think You're Wrong, But I'm Listening. It's a guide to grace-filled political conversations. Please and very politely welcome friends and co-authors Beth Silvers and Sarah Stewart Holland. Great to have you both here.
Thank you.
Beth, Sarah?
Thanks for having us.
So, my understanding is, Beth, you lean a little to the right, and Sarah, you lean a little to the left. So what a perfect opportunity to ask you both. When families get together and politics run the spectrum, how do you keep that whole Thanksgiving dinner from degenerating into a shouting match and throwing turkey legs?
What we advise people to do in our book is to think about these discussions more as a way to learn about yourself than to convince other people. And if you start with that kind of open heart, I just want to hear everybody out so I better understand myself and my values, it's a very different kind of discussion.
Sarah, you know, in many ways you're political opposites, but you're close friends, you work together. How does that all happen, and when did it start?
We weren't that close. We had not seen each other in 13 years when we started the podcast.
Interesting.
And talking politics, even from opposite ends of the spectrum, it made us grow closer.
What are some suggestions you would give for people who can keep their friendships alive like you guys have been able to do?
In the first half of our book, we really talk about becoming aware of your own context, because sometimes we don't even know why we believe what we believe.
Yeah.
We've always been this or that. The party says this or that. This leader that we like is here. So we try to really dig deep and say, what's going on with you? And that exercise helps you realize, oh, that's going on with everybody.
You call your podcast Pantsuit Politics. Where does that come from? Does that mean only women can listen?
No, absolutely not. I started the name because I thought I was going to start a podcast about women in politics, and I wanted to signal through the name. Also, I just really like alliteration.
Yeah.
That it was about that. But when we decided to do the two of us, we kept the name because we really wanted to bring a female-centered voice to the political space, because that's also not something you hear a lot.
The two of you are able to have honest discussions. You truly disagree with each other. Are there ever times when you find yourself this close to firing off and you're saying, nah, that's not a good
Now, that would be me, not Beth. I run a little hot. We've all been on both sides. When somebody's trying to convince you, you get defensive, the other person leans in, you lean out. So if you just sit down with curiosity, I just want to understand my position and their position better. It just takes the heat down a little bit.
What you just mentioned, Sarah, I think is important. It's not a debate, it's a conversation. The goal is not to win or lose, it's to understand. That's what I like to do, is to have a conversation with someone to say, not what do you believe, I get that. Tell me why. Mm-hmm. Explain to me why. And that kind of goes back to what you said, Beth, context.
Yes. And the why for us has really gotten deeper as we've practiced these conversations. That's the other thing. So now we don't know how to do conflict anymore. We don't know how to disagree with someone and have it just be this healthy conversation that we both walk away from feeling enriched by it. So you have to practice. And that's, I think, the key for all of us to bring the heat down.
Because when you can connect over those shared values, then you can find little small spaces of agreement. We both want what's best for our kids. Now, we might not always agree how to get there, but we do want what's best for our kids. Okay, let's just start there. Everybody loves their kids. Everybody wants what's best for them. If that's even the first place we have to start, that's where we have to start. But let's just find one space that we can move forward from.
And I'm really grateful, and I hope people will follow your podcast. They need to get your book, especially families that are all wrung out over their own political conflicts, and see the advice that you give. Thank you both for being here and sharing that story with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
The book is called I Think You're Wrong, But I'm Listening. And boy, do we ever need its message and advice right now. That book is available at Amazon and other major booksellers, so it's there on your screen. Get a copy of it. Might be very helpful. And listen to Sarah and Beth's podcast online at pantsuitpoliticsshow.com.